Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center.
Hello, my name is Minesuper McGee, also known as Minesuper in VrChat, and today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to show all of the worlds from one of my favorite creators, Zanderthaw. So this world is called Hub Xander. It is a hub world for them, which includes, I think, all of the portals to all of the worlds. It's pretty impressive even for a hub world. All of these cores from the core talk.
Ace of fours.
There are portals. Any cores up here?
Pens, apples, oranges, pears, plums, kumquats, tangerines, lemons, limes, avocado, tomato, banana, papaya, guava, arrow.
So, I'm actually gonna start at this world. This is my favorite world in all of VrChat.
Please be advised.
It's called Dream.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And you would, naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure, see. And after several nights, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. Well, something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. Then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now.
So coming up here, we're gonna see a rotating hallway. It's rotating. It's a little hard to see right now.
And you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death. You can feel yourself not as a stranger in the world, not as something here on probation, not as something that has arrived here by fluke, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolutely fundamental. What you are basically, deep, deep down, far, far in, is simply the fabric and structure of existence itself.
I know that silence was awkward, but I wanted the dialogue to be heard. What I was gonna say was, there's only 2 instances that I know of rotating platforms like this. And this one is really interesting in that it shows that VrChat has gravity, so it's trying to keep you level with like the invisible ground of the world, but also it understands platforms as a different ground, so it wants to keep me. I can stay on this platform for a while, but then it always wants to keep me level with the ground of the world, and I just find that really interesting.
You itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually you could eventually become a master of it. It's the only way to become a master of something, to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others who are. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like, doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating them to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all retch and no vomit. It never gets there. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question, what do I desire? Well, when we answer that question in a naive way, we figure out that we want to desire what we want is to control everything. To create girls that don't grow old, apples that don't rot, clothes that never wear out, conveyances that get from one place to another instantly so we don't have to wait, power available to do anything that you could conceive and do it just instantly like that. To get this funny technological omnipotence. But if you take time out to think about that, and really go into it with your full strength of imagination, and find out whether that's where you want to be, you will soon see that's not what you want. Because the moment you have a situation where you are really in control of things, that is to say, in which the future is almost completely predictable, you will see, as I said last night, that a completely predictable future is already the past. You've had it. And that's not what you wanted. You want a surprise. And you don't know what that's going to be, because obviously it wouldn't be a surprise if you did. You want a pleasant surprise. But like you say, what sort of a surprise would be pleasant? And you can't really answer that. Because you know, if there are to be such things as pleasant surprises, there must also be unpleasant surprises. There must be rude shocks. So you're like somebody taking one of those wishing well boxes, tubs, where you fish in and you bring out a package. And you don't know whether you've got a dead rat in it or a new camera. And that's the way, that seems to be the thing that really excites people. But quite certainly there comes out of this inquiry a feeling of real disillusionment with the ideal of power. To be in power, to be in control, is not something that any sensible person wants. Now you may say that's shirking responsibility. That if you were a really responsible person, you would go out for power and try to use power to the best possible advantage, for the benefit of all. All right, what would be the benefit of all? Ask them. What do you want me to do with this power? I'm dictator. What would you like me to do? Well, nobody knows, because they haven't thought it through. They think of all sorts of short-range things, and they are largely conflicting and confusing, because they're not well thought out. But again, when it finally comes down to it, nobody wants to be God. Now, I think that this is the greatest possible lesson for the Western world to learn, because we are so hung up on the idea of power, of control, of being able to make everything go the right way, and we've never thought it through. When you get control of it, what are you going to do with it? And so when you think things through like that, you understand you do not want power. You don't want to control everything. And therefore, in the exploration of what you want, you get to the point where, having all pleasures at your command, and they pall, and you think of new sources of pleasure. And eventually you get like the ancient Romans, who had all these mad crowds of barbarians who had to go every Saturday to the Colosseum for a show that really had to surpass everything. Because they had public baths, they had prostitutes, they had every kind of luxury. But when they went to see one of the big shows that people like Nero put on, they would have, for example, floats circling the Colosseum, all full of slave girls from distant parts of the Mediterranean, garlanded with flowers and waving at the crowd and going innocently around. And the next minute they would release wild lions into the arena to eat up all the slave girls. They got a big sadistic kick out of that. Because you see, pursuing pleasure beyond a certain place takes you into what the Buddhists call the Naraka world, that is to say, the hells. When you have explored pleasure to its ultimate limit, the only thing you can get a kick out of is pain. And so naturally, you descend from the Deva world at the top of the wheel to the Naraka world at the bottom, where it shows all these beings in states of torture. You get to the hell world as a result of not knowing what you want. As a result of thoughtless pursuit of pleasure, which ends you eventually in the pursuit of pain. So when you're in the hell, well, that's where you want to be. So when I ask, I go right down to the question, should we start with, what do I want? The answer is, I don't know. When Bodhidharma was asked, who are you? Which is another form of the same question. He said, I don't know. Planting flowers to which the butterflies come. Bodhidharma says, I know not. I don't know what I want. And when you don't know what you want, you've reached the state of desirelessness. When you really don't know. You see, there's a beginning stage of not knowing, and there's an ending stage of not knowing. In the beginning stage, you don't know what you want because you haven't thought about it, or you've only thought superficially. And then when somebody forces you to think about it and go through and say, yeah, I think I'd like this, I think I'd like that, I think I'd like the other, that's the middle stage. Then you get beyond that. Say, is that what I really want? In the end you say, no, I don't think that's it. I might be satisfied with it for a while, and I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, but it's not really what I want. Why don't you really know what you want? Two reasons that you don't really know what you want. Number one, you have it. Number two, you don't know yourself, because you never can. The Godhead is never an object of its own knowledge.
Now this world is called Sleepwalk Adventure. It is similar to Dream in that it is an experience that you walk through. However, this world is, I would say it's a horror map. So just get ready for a little, like some jump scares and spooky atmosphere.
It's time to go home. It's getting late. We've been expecting you. Leave. We insist. Good night.
Now I've got a clean copy of it now, and I warn you, this could scare you. Here's the email. Dear Art Bell, I just recently began listening to your radio show and could not believe it when you talked about the sounds from hell tonight. My uncle had told me this story a couple of years ago, and I didn't believe him. Like one of your listeners who discounted the story as nothing more than just a religious newspaper fabricated account. The story about the digging, the hearing of the sounds from hell is very real. It did occur in Siberia. My uncle collected videos, so forth, on the paranormal, supernatural. He passed away fairly recently, but he would have loved your show. He let me listen to one of the audio tapes that he had on the sounds from hell in Siberia, and I copied it. He received his copy from a friend who worked at the BBC. It took me a while to find it tonight, but attached is that sound from my uncle's tapes. It's not the greatest quality, but the sounds are there. I was very hesitant to send you this, as the sound bothers me to listen to. I'd suggest that if you do play it on the program, warn listeners in advance so they may have the option of turning the radio off for 30 seconds while it plays. It has always haunted me. To those who discounted the Siberia sounds from Hell's Story, it is true, and I, for one, wish it wasn't. Rick, listening from Chicago. And so I submit now the cleaned, a better copy to you, and I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
I really want to commend the sound of the knocking. It's really good. Fun story. I took a friend of mine through this world who was in VR at the time, and as soon as he heard a knock, he took off his headset to go open his door. Nobody was there.
Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of shadows. Follow, sweet children, I'll show thee the way through all the pain and the sorrow.
I've prepared a place for you.
For children, life is this way, murdering beauty and passion. Hush now, dear children, it must be this way.
It was just a bad dream.
Alright, the next world I will be showing, in a similar vein, is called Once Upon a Christmas.
Come with me.
Alright, this world is called Once Upon a Christmas. It's in the same vein as the past two worlds in that it tells the story the whole way. So in this part you can actually make a snowman. It's got all the parts here, and here are pictures of all the snowmen that other people have made. So the first area we're going to want to go to is the cabin. And if you touch those things, you die. Alright, this world is called Once Upon a Christmas. It's in the same vein as the past two worlds in that it tells a story the whole way. So in this part you can actually make a snowman. It's got all the parts here, and here are pictures of all the snowmen that other people have made. So the first area we're going to want to go to is the cabin. And if you touch those things, you die. I'm not very good at this part of the game, as it requires platforming, which is not really VrChat's strong suit. Up and down moving platforms, that works fine, but there is one platform that moves left and right, and VrChat does not like that.
Jetzt werden wir
So next we're supposed to go behind the tree over there, but first we're going to eat a mushroom in the wild.
Come with me.
And spin the bottom. Alright, that's all for this cabin. You can pick up these lanterns, but I'm not going to. He gives you a clue to where it is. Height is your ally in this. However, I don't know how good of a clue that is. It's over behind this rock. The next world we're going to go to is called Close Encounters. This world is called Close Encounters. It is another story-driven narrative like the past three worlds, except this one is kind of minimalistic and kind of long. It's also very dark the entire way. Now, I'm on desktop, so it's picking up flashlights for me is a little more difficult.
February 15th, 2020. I've started these audio logs to document what's been happening the last few nights. Flying lights have led me here. I've never been this far into the forest before. Everything looks so dead. Wait, something's moving in the water. What is this, a cave? I really should just turn back now. What am I even doing here? Damn it. I'm going in. Damn it, it's another dead end. There has to be another way through here. I think I saw this cave branch out a ways back.
That's right. I just died.
I can't help but feel like something's following me.
As we saw before, something is following you. And you can hear it. I don't know how far it chases you. I think it chases you for a while.
What the hell was that thing? It's impossible for me to turn back now. I gotta keep going.
I forgot that a log rolls down the hill. I assume it kills you.
This is it. Everything has led me here. What's that like there?
Here's the world of people who've completed the world. And there's the Zanderthaw's Discord in case anybody was interested. Alright. The next world is going to be Frogger. So this world is Frogger. I think it got pretty popular. It's basically the same rules as regular Frogger, where you just go through and you dodge cars. Now, I'm going to show a bit of footage. So this is level 1, so this is the easiest. I'll probably cut around though. I don't want to show all 10 levels because it just takes a while. It's kind of the same thing over and over. I will say that there's a lot of standing on lines. I've seen people try to just run through everything. You just have to be okay with standing on a line and waiting. Alright, so here's level 9. And here's where things get a little more interesting in that you're not just running to the next line waiting for cars, there's also the fact of the walls kill you as well. So you have to make sure you know where the wall is on your line. And I died. Alright, I have given up on beating this, so I'll just say that when you get into overdrive, so normally at these lines so you know where you're safe, overdrive just gets rid of the lines. Okay, the next world will be Fly. Alright, this world is Fly. There is an epilepsy warning.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate or despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone. The good earth is rich and can provide for everyone a way of life, free and beautiful. But we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much, feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness of men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
From this distant vantage point, the Earth might not seem of any particular interest. But for us, it's different. Consider again that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on the mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. The Earth is the only world known so far to harbor life. There is nowhere else, at least in the near future, to which our species could migrate. Visit? Yes. Settle? Not yet. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand. It has been said that astronomy is a humbling and character-building experience. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known.
I know I didn't say much about this world at the start, but I find it very impressive. I think the lighting is great, and the music and the voice clips used are really fitting. It's got a great energy to it. The next world I'm going to show is Wally Avatar Playhouse 2018.
And you go.
So the next world I'm going to show is Cube. So this world is Cube. I haven't been here before, but we're going to figure this one out together. Oh, okay. Going through the world happens pretty often with rotating stuff. I've found with the other two worlds that I know that have rotating rooms. That was pretty good. Works pretty well. So there's only two worlds left. There's the short pub and landslide. Let's go to landslide. Alright, so this is landslide. So this world is like Frogger, although it's a different concept that I've seen in other worlds as well, where you have to dodge something coming down. Now, I think this world has over 100 levels, and also stuff can spawn on top of you all the way up. So I think every 10 levels goes up a difficulty. I'm gonna cut around to just show how crazy it gets. I said at the beginning that every 10 levels it changes difficulty. It gets more difficult with each level, but it just, since there's 100 levels, it says that the difficulty increases every 10 levels. So this will probably be where I say that I'm done. And this is only level 14 out of, I think, 100 worlds. So there's big boulders, medium, and small-sized boulders, and 3 pegs and 3 lips pegs to change their direction, and the little lips on the side to make them jump. It's really difficult. I cannot imagine what level 100 is like. There's a victory wall that has so many completions. That's ridiculous. And a bonus wall, I guess. Alright, there's only one last world, I believe, called the Short Pub, which is for short avatars. Alright, so this is the Short Pub. Alright, this is the Short Pub. I actually changed to a shorter avatar. So this avatar is by Lolly Lover, someone who is featured prominently in the Avatar Playhouse. I'll go in there in a second. It looks like they're still having events pretty frequently. Oh, okay. Here we have tiny foods, which some are spinning. I haven't been to this world. I wasn't expecting that. It looks like there are some games, like some classic games that are in a lot of VrChat worlds. Beer pong, never have I ever, would you rather spin the bottle? So here's a joke board. I guess I'll just... And here's the part 2 of the joke board. Alright, those are all of the worlds of Zanderthaw. Thank you.